You are listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm Samantha Brown, a professional organizer and business coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to start and scale the organizing business of your dreams. So let's jump in. Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I have a one-on-one coaching session with Amy Walker. She is a full-time head of a Christian school in California, and she is starting her professional organizing business as a side hustle for now to see if she likes it. Her family can go on vacations. And it's actually, I think, in my personal opinion, the best way to do it is to kind of keep your day job as you're starting your business, because when you're first getting started, there's a lot of foundational pieces that you have to get laid before you can actually quit your day job and jump right in and assume you're going to have a ton of clients. And, there's all these pieces that have to be laid to where you have a good foundation, and then you can start scaling. And once it starts scaling and the ball starts rolling, that's whenever you can choose, okay, which job, do I want to quit my day job? Do I want to keep it? Or do I want to just keep this as a side hustle? Because it's a great source of extra income for a family. So thank you, Amy, for being a part of the podcast.
Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate you having me.
So her and I have been talking back and forth, and she sent me a few questions that she has concerning starting her professional organizing business. She thought that she had a session this past weekend, but the lady had to reschedule, which is very common because we work with disorganized people normally. So, putting that out there is that's a very common thing to run into. It actually wasn't just you. One of the other members in our membership, she had her first session set up. They had to reschedule. Then the second one, the lady rescheduled. And so I know at first, especially when it's that first client or first, few clients, it's like, oh, they canceled or they rescheduled. No, because you're so excited to get in there. But I even had it happen today. Last week, I had a lady that her parents needed help. They had just moved. I went ahead and did one session, but she swore up and down they needed two. So I went ahead and put her on my schedule. I even verified before I left Friday, and today's a Monday. Are you sure you want me to come back Monday, or do you think you need more time to get settled before I come back in and we start decluttering? And, oh, no, we need you Monday. We definitely need you. Keep us on the calendar, that kind of thing. And then, of course, last night when I sent her a text reminder, hey, don't forget, I'll be there at 9:30 in the morning. Oh, yeah, we need to reschedule. Mom said that, she wanted to wait for you to come back. So, I've been at this for years now, and I still get those people that it's part of us working with people that either A, don't know what they need, or B, are disorganized. I'm not really sure if maybe a little of both. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in this case, just a professional who's super, super busy, and sometimes things on the other end don't go the way they planned either. And so I think that's what happened in this case. But she already reached out to me to reschedule, which is really great, which tells me she really wants to get it done. So yeah. I'm excited about that.
That's really good. It's always good when they reschedule and, they actually set a date. Yeah. So a couple of the questions that you had, which is kind of top of mind for you, or kind of giving you the most stress?
I think it's that estimating the job and what it's going to take. And I know we had talked earlier in a group coaching session, and you suggested not just having a 3-hour session, but make it 4. And I think that's a great plan. I want to do that. Looking at a whole kitchen now, I'm thinking, okay, how many sessions would that take? Would it be 2, 3 to 4 hour sessions? And I guess obviously the size of the kitchen, how much clutter and that kind of thing. But do you normally just tell the client, I'm going to get started and I'll know as I go and I'll keep you posted? Or do you estimate from the beginning and then have to, I'm a little uncomfortable having to readjust a lot, after I say one thing. So
I think the best policy is honesty, right? For you specifically, saying, listen, I'm new to this, or newer, maybe not say new, but newer to this. I don't want to tell you something that is a lie or that isn't true. And so just so you know, up front, I'm not sure how long this is going to take. It's okay for us to tell our clients, I don't know. So I always tell my clients, because I still don't know, because it's not just based on how fast I can work. It's based on their decisions. It's based on, especially if you're working hand in hand with the client, it's based on how quickly they can make decisions on, each item. Does it go? Does it stay? Does it, does it not? Do they want to tell me a story about it? Do they want to, there's all these things that play into that. And so I tell them it's based on how quick you can make a decision. It's also based on how much stuff is in there once we start pulling it out, because you can do a consultation, look at stuff, even open doors and be like, oh, yeah, okay, I think that might take about. But until you get in there and start pulling all that stuff out, like sometimes it's like Mary Poppins bag. And so I think honesty is the best policy. Like I think they appreciate that. And I also think that a lot of times, telling them it's going to take actually longer and then doing a better job is always better than telling them less and it taking longer. Mm-hmm. So, with a kitchen, it's hard. A, like you said, the size. B, the pantry does it include the pantry? Does it not include the pantry? So that kind of determines how many sessions it's going to take. And then does it need to be decluttered? So does it need to be decluttered or does it just need to be organized? So I have some sessions where I go in and literally they need like the whole kitchen rearranged because when they moved in, they just threw stuff in cupboards and they don't like the layout of it. And then there's other times that you go in and there's just so much stuff. It's like busting at the seams. And so you have to do a decluttering session first, because they have 20 pairs of scissors and 500 pots and pans and well, let's declutter that down to which ones are your favorite or, the ones you're not using, let's put them up high or put them to the side. So it's important for the client to be a part of the process as much as possible and around for us to ask questions if it's a decluttering. If you look in the cabinets during the consultation and the amount of stuff isn't like overwhelming, but it's the flow of it's not working for them, right? So then it becomes more of an organizing session. So then it's more of, putting the stuff where it makes the most sense, like next to the dishwasher, next to the oven, or do they already have the flow good and they're just needing it to be pretty and legit, like Pinterest organized, into like baskets and clear bins and different things. So it really depends on the client and what type of session they're needing as to how many steps it's going to take to get them there and what are their final goals, right? So like some people's goals are, I want it Pinterest pretty. Other people's goals are, I just want it to function. And then other people's goals are, I just don't want stuff falling out of it as I'm opening each door.
So it's that in-home assessment prior really will help me to kind of get my mind around it. And I think part of my problem is because I haven't gone into someone's home yet, other than a couple of friends, I'm imagining in my own mind, for example, that they might not want to stay around and then they might leave me there, and that's fine. I would love that and just be able to get a lot done, but it would be the way I want it and not necessarily the way they want it. I'm looking forward to probably those in-home assessments to really hear their heart, what they're looking for. And I think that'll help me.
Yeah. And I think what we were talking about in the group the other day, I'm not sure if you were a part of that one or if it was a different one, but we were talking about getting our here's what it looks like to work with me statement done. And because I have that for my clients on the phone when they first call and I say, here's what it looks like to work with me, because they don't know, most of them have not worked with a professional organizer. They're not really sure what we do. Most of them don't know. And each organizer is different. So it really is different based on which organizer you're working with. And so I always tell them, here's what it looks like to work with me. And I tell them, after this phone call, I do a free consultation. During the free consultation, you'll walk me through your home. You'll show me the spaces that are giving you trouble. And then we'll sit down and talk about it and come up with a plan. Okay. And then from there, we will book the sessions. And I tell them I do it differently than other organizers. I don't do hourly and I don't do packages because I don't believe in getting paid for something I've not done yet. But I do believe in getting paid for the work I've done that day. So I just expect payment at the end of each session for that day's work. And then that day we will set up the next session. And it's literally taking it step by step. And so from the very beginning of the very first phone call, I'm setting that expectation. And so I think that's why the transition is kind of smooth with my clients, is because from the very beginning, I'm saying, if this doesn't sound good to you, that's okay, but then I'm not your person.
Yeah. And then also getting into a session and say you're at, 2 hours and 45 minutes, getting close to 3 hours, and you're thinking, wow, what I thought I could get done in one day, I need to probably start putting things back, because if I'm going to leave at the end here, I'm thinking I need to leave it usable for the client so that between sessions, they can use their space.
Of course, as I've been coaching, I've been readjusting what I've been saying, where I do 3 hours, but I vote you all do 4, because it is the beginning of your business. You are just getting to know what you can get done and how long, and figuring out your, me, I just jump in now because I've been doing it for a while. And so I think at first, giving yourself that extra time is pivotal. And secondly, some people, like, you're doing it on the weekend, right? So maybe you let them know, I do a 4-hour session, but if we're getting close to the 4 hours and I think I can finish it within an hour or two, it's an additional fee of blank per hour. And then that kind of gives you, because, for me, I'm always, okay, I have like 5 days a week I'm doing this. So I could set up today's session and, well, then I could come back tomorrow or the next day. But for you, this is a weekend gig. And so, maybe it's, for you, it looks a little different than it does for me on, okay, my session is 4 hours, but if I have not finished what I would like to get done, each additional hour is blank. And then that way you're letting them know ahead of time, I'm not sure how long it's going to take me, but I'm going to get it done before I leave. If that's your goal as your, because it's your business. And so is your goal to completely finish this space, or is it to continue working with them? Like, I normally tell them, look, I can normally get about a space done per session, unless it's the garage or the kitchen. The garage and the kitchen, they take 2 sessions. They just normally do, especially if the kitchen involves the pantry. Plus, if they're wanting baskets and bins and all of this stuff, well, then we've got to have time in between for Amazon to run and bring you all of your stuff. I've got to measure. We've got to decide what you're wanting. Do you like clear? Do you like wood? Do you like weaved? Like, there's all of these things to figure out in between the sessions. But the very first session, for the majority of the time, is decluttering. But that's why you'll know once you get in there and actually do the assessment. And I always tell them too, when they ask me on the phone, I'm very honest with my clients, because I would want someone to be honest with me. So whenever, they ask me the questions on the phone, someone will call and they'll be like, well, how long do you think this will take? And I tell them, I have no idea of knowing how long this is going to take. Once I do the free consultation, I'll give you a better estimate. I still don't know for 100% fact, because there's so many different factors, factoring in. And then I explain it's based on their decisions. If it's a decluttering session, it's based on how long does it take to get the baskets? Do they want baskets? So I kind of explain that to them from the beginning. And honestly, the people that have called me that are like, I need it tomorrow, like, you've got to come tomorrow, like, I need you now, are the people that I've always regretted accepting them as a client. Like, it was not worth the money and the headache and the hassle. Anytime I've not done the consultation, and anytime that I've not done the process that I have set out that works for me, I've regretted it every single time.
Yeah. I've had an experience in other business where I've had that same experience. When the more immediate they think they have to have it, like it's a crisis, it's usually not a good situation to begin with.
Yeah.
For some reason. Well, switching to kind of something a little bit different, have you ever done any virtual coaching other than this, obviously, but for actually organizing a space, and maybe any other streams of revenue that you think are solid for someone, especially starting out? Because I could do things probably in the evenings that I couldn't do. I couldn't go to someone's home usually in the evening and do a 3 or 4 hour session, because I sometimes don't leave work in time to be able to do that. but I could work an hour or two each evening and get something done and do some kind of exploring those options. And I'm thinking a virtual coaching session might not last as long. Have you ever done anything like that?
So I haven't, but I have a friend. Actually, I know a couple people that's what they do is the virtual stuff. And the virtual stuff is more about giving people a plan of action and then them doing it themselves, right?
Hmm.
There's also somebody in our membership that she does virtual and she walks them step by step and like they turn the camera around and she's like, well, why don't you move this there or move that there? And so it can look a few different ways. But what I was kind of sitting here thinking for you, how good are you with like computers and like virtual assistant type work? Yeah, I would almost think if you're looking for extra money that's a good income that it can kind of go at your pace and that you can do when you want to do it, something
Hmm.
like virtual assistant can easily fall under an organizing business because you're organizing them virtually. You're doing it,
Right.
you're helping them virtually where
Hmm.
they need some help. And so I wonder if maybe something like that would fit kind of your needs or kind of what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, I think that's something that would appeal to me, and a lot of I'm really big into productivity type things and would really like to help even maybe some businesses streamline how they do things. I'm actually working with another company coaching other heads of school virtually that are new heads of school. So I'm going to get my feet wet doing that. And I'm actually working with a company as a representative. So we'll see how that goes. But that'll tell me if I'm, you know, can do that. But I've done that, based on volunteer already, as a volunteer thing, and I've enjoyed it. And so I'm thinking it should work. And I have to use the computer all the time at work, so I'm pretty comfortable with everything from Canva to Zoom to Google Meet to
Well, and I'm sure
most.
as the head of a school, like you're constantly coming up with new ways to streamline things and to figure things out and to deal with issues and to deal with problems and you know
Well, and working together as a team and communicating and that kind of thing. So, I mean, I think there's still more I can learn on that, but at least I kind of know where to find those resources. So, let me give that a try. Another thing I've been thinking about is I have a few people who like organizing, but I don't think they really want to run their own business. And I thought, well, I could maybe expand during the week if I could bring other people on. California laws are really difficult when it comes to this kind of thing, and workers' comp. You don't want to have to get involved in that and pay that. So I need to figure out maybe some legal options that would be like subcontracting,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Having other people join me, and that's why I actually named my business Home and Haven Company, because first of all, I wanted to have a different offerings, but I also wanted to be able to bring other people in. So I'd like to know, have any advice in bringing people in that you're aware of?
Yeah, I mean, like I've talked to some people that run teams, and I think, even me, like I have a girl right now that I've thought about bringing on with me because now I'm getting into this coaching thing, but I still want the organizing business to continue. And so I think the biggest thing that comes up for me is making sure they're aligned with who we are because they're
Hmm.
representing us. And it's not like cleaning, right? We're like, okay, go scrub this, and this. Here's a checklist, get this all done. They have to actually have a desire for this because if they don't, they're going to get burnt out real quick.
Hmm.
And B, I think it could definitely be an amazing thing, but I think you on your end are going to have to figure out what exactly your offerings are and then seeing how they can incorporate into that. Like,
Hmm.
are you going to bring on contractors as in like an actual like men that can do like handyman work?
Hmm.
Are people going to haul things off? There's all these little kind of back end pieces that you're going to have to figure out. Like, are you doing these big jobs where they're doing renovations? Or are you trying to stay more low key where it's smaller jobs and it's just the moving around of items and decluttering and that kind of thing? And, I do love the idea of the in-home stuff, but I really honestly, I swear for you, I keep feeling like it's more virtual. Like, and it may even be them helping you virtually, but whether it's typing up things for somebody or podcast editing or Canva templates or like all of that is virtual assistant work, but you could have other virtual assistant people that work for you while you're at school getting stuff done, but that you help.
Right. Yeah, actually, my youngest daughter is getting her degree in marketing media, and she had a book the other day on podcasting, and I said, "Oh, don't get rid of that book when you're done with your class." But she's probably going to have to do an internship at some point, and I'm probably going to have her try to do it with me if she can, because I can give her a lot between both the school and the Home and Haven company. So we'll see about that.
And when it comes, just real quick thinking, like when it comes to like podcast editing, for instance, it is so easy as soon as you learn the software. It's literally just learning the software. My virtual assistant, like it's actually crazy to me the stuff she's been doing and helping me with, but she's like helping me come up with like guides and like tweak the website and like, for her doing that stuff, like she loves it. It stresses me out to sit and like type something up that sounds good. I'm much more of a people person. I'd rather talk. That's why I chose coaching. But when it comes to the actual, like, her and I'll have a conversation and then all of a sudden she'll take what I said and she's like typed it up beautifully. And I'm like, oh, and then I see it and like, I'm like, wow, I did say that, and so I think it's just about finding your sweet spot, like what lights you up inside, before then deciding for other people to come in and help you. Like, let's figure out what your calling is. Like, obviously being a head of a school, like that's like, you already have a full-time job. So are you trying to get another full-time job? Are you trying to eventually like, switch it out? Or are you really just wanting to keep it as something fun that you do on the weekends? I think that you've got to kind of figure that out for yourself.
Right. And I think part of it is we've had a lot of people moving to our area from Los Angeles, and they're used to paying for services like that. And they're looking for more professional things. This is a very small town feel. It's about 40,000, but it's so spread out in pockets and mountains and communities that it's still DIY type community where they like to do it themselves. And I'm a little concerned that I'll have enough even on the weekends with people willing to pay that price point. But, if they're from Los Angeles, I don't think it's a problem. It's actually probably under market a little bit for them. So I'm thinking, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to have to either go outside of my area in terms of my services, which would be probably virtual because it'd be a 50-mile drive for most places beyond our town. Or I'm going to have to come up with something completely kind of different that I specialize in. So just still trying to figure that out. My heart loves just getting in there and organizing, decluttering, creating spaces, but we'll see what happens. So are there any professional organizer certifications you recommend other than like NAPO?
So I actually don't recommend NAPO only because in my opinion, and I'm sorry for anyone that's listening, because I looked into all of that too in the beginning, right? And that's why I created this community and the podcast is because, NAPO is great for a certain type of person, I guess, but the amount of money they charge per year and the you have to have, I think, I'm sorry if I'm wrong, it's either 3,500 hours of organizing hours or 5,000 organizing hours.
I think it's 1,500, but that's still a lot. And you have to do it within 5 years. But if you're doing it only on the weekends, like myself.
Yeah, by the time you've done 1,500 hours, like you've got a full business going. Like you no longer need a NAPO like certification. So to me, it's always been so backwards, I guess, is the point I'm trying to get at. Like, why am I going after this certification if I'm also doing all of this on my own and you're not helping me with any of it? Like, I don't get it. And I'm paying you to do that, So that's why for me, like I've created the community because I think what we're missing is not more classes or a certification, because we can all do this. What we're missing is the community so we can all support each other and, just kind of go along together and ask these questions and figure these things out. I know for a lot of us type A people, we like to just have the certification, right? Like it probably wouldn't even teach us anything we don't already know. But for me and for a lot of the women that I've helped, it's a God-given gift. That's our certification. Is God has given it to us, and this is our calling, like legitimately.
Well, and I think anybody that knows me personally would not doubt that. I'm thinking of new clients that I might be working with. It almost, like that good housekeeping seal of approval that really doesn't mean anything either.
Nope. and that no one has a clue about. Because like you just said yourself, the people in your area, they're DIYing it. So then they're going to know about NAPO?
No. Well, I even laugh because I hope I don't get fired for saying this, but we have to go through accreditations processes with the school. And I think if people really knew what was involved in the accreditation process, it's a lot of busy work. And there are some that are standards-based that are great. But most of what you get in your regional accreditations is more of what I call navel gazing.
Yeah.
And just looking at yourself and saying what you think you want to work on and that kind of thing. And there are a little bit of standards to it. I don't want to just say there's nothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that's really what parents think it is. And so therefore also, I don't know. I don't know how much people look at that kind of thing. I know when I hire someone, I just really want to know I'm hiring someone that's professional. That to me is important. And so everything I can do to build that confidence in clients, that might cause them to go, well, I'll try this professional organizer. Although I have to say, I'm the only one in my area right now. I'm it.
Well, then they don't have an option. If they want a professional organizer, they have to call you.
Yes.
Yeah. I think you're getting, like even in my area, right? Like I've got, there's a few other people. It's a pretty big town, right where I live. And at first I thought it was competition, right? Like, oh, it's me against them, or like it's me versus them. I hope the clients pick me. Besides, each of us is so different in what we do. There's been a couple of times that I've actually had people come to me after going to them because I am so down to earth and my photos do look so normal, they always say, compared to, one of the ladies has a team that she runs, which is great. But she comes in with like 5 or 6 women at one time, and it's too much for the client to handle. They have women all over their home all of a sudden. And every person that has come to me after her has been like, and not to put her down by any means, but the clients, when they call us, a lot of them need more of a life coach than an actual, organizer most of the time, because it's mental and it's what's going on for them mentally coming out in their things around them. And so for me, I got certified as a life coach because that made, like, as I was working with clients, I realized this is half therapy, half actual physical items. The majority of the time, they need someone to talk to. They need someone to like help them mentally, or the stuff's going to go right back to the way it was before we got there anyways.
Right. Well, that would be overwhelming even for myself to have 5 women to send to my house to start in. So that's a good point about even bringing on too many additional, helpers. So I was thinking more of someone going in my place, but for the future, I will definitely be keeping that in mind because I need to put myself in the client's shoes and think about, I can't think of too many people that'd be comfortable with that, really.
Yeah. Well, and I actually, now that you're saying that, there was someone else I was speaking with that said they didn't like the fact that one lady came and did the consultation and then a different person came and did the session. And so being aware of that too, because they bond with you. They want to pay you. They want you to help them because you're the one that answered the phone. You're the one that came for the consultation. And then all of a sudden some other strangers standing there and they're supposed to work with them. This is a very personal profession that we're doing, like it's a very one-on-one kind of profession. And so I think when we're first starting, we get so in our heads with all of the, like ideas and the what ifs and the, and we forget that the other people really are just another person like us that just needs some help because they're too busy or because they're whatever, or, it's just not their God-given gift to organize. They would rather spend their time creating whatever or doing whatever, which is great because then we have a place for a job. So thank God that we're not all great at organizing, right?
That's helping me clarify, I think, and kind of whittle this down to something specific to focus on. And I probably haven't told you this yet, but I used to write a blog. I wrote for 5 years, like 6 days a week. So I'm used to putting out content a lot in volume and, with photos and all that goes on that. I don't really want, because I have to write a lot with work, I don't really want to write more after hours. But the virtual coaching just keeps coming back up as something. And then I don't have to be just focused on my immediate area. I can expand to anywhere. So,
and it doesn't have to be one or the other. Why can't it be both?
Well, right. And I will try to do some here. I just don't know that I'm going to get.
I didn't think so either. And the people just keep coming out of the woodwork. Wow. And do you know how they keep coming? Praying.
Praying.
Every time I get low, every time that it's like, oh, my calendar's not booked out a couple weeks, I'm like, all right, God, like send me some more people. Like I need some more people because my calendar is not where it should be. And that my bills need to be paid. Like, what I'm trying to do here.
Well, and I have to be honest, I've been a little worried that I'm taking on too much, but I'm at a point in life where my children are all grown. Most of my grandkids are out of town and I don't get to see them very often. So it's just my husband and myself, and my weekends are pretty much my own. I go to church and we have some routine things we do, but what we really do need to do is focus on a few goals we have that require some finances. So I think the Lord will provide what I need.
Yep.
Just need to kind of take it one step at a time. And I mentioned before that I had tried to launch this in 2018, and I was in a very different place. One daughter was still in high school, and just a lot of other things going on. And I chickened out, partly because I thought I just can't do work all day and then do this in addition. But things are a little bit different now, and I feel like this might be the time. I was much more harried about it and rushed and feeling pressed the first time around. I'm not feeling that pressure right now. I'm kind of, if it happens, it happens. More of a long-term perspective and a long distance race rather, the whole hare and the tortoise. The first one was more the hare. This feels a little more the tortoise, but
more aligned and timing wise. Yeah. It's the same with my podcast. So I have a different podcast. It's called Her Healed Heart. And I put out 13 episodes, and it was a very rushed, like, oh, I'm going to do all the things and do it quick and blah, 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 and perspective, the whole 2020 thing. Looking back, I've realized it was God walking me through what I needed to walk through for me to be healed, not my people I was talking to, but my own healing that I needed to get before I could then launch this thing and before I could then now help others do what I'm doing. And had I launched this when I launched that, it wouldn't have worked because I wasn't in a place where it could launch. And when I started this back in August, my husband was like, man, you're spending a lot of time on this. Like there's so much time you're spending, because there was no return coming back in. But I kept telling him, this is the long game. Like I'm playing the long game this time. I'm doing it different than I did before. Because before didn't work and it was stressful. It was horrible. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's wise. I think doing it the long game, then you come across as more confident and at peace. And that's something that with the organizing, I think we're trying to communicate to our clients is that having an organized home. Oh, and by the way, I had just moved during that time and we built a house and it was, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, you're a lot like me, right? Like I'm in the middle of a move right now. I'm doing a podcast. I'm also doing all, a membership, a community. Like I'm still organizing 6 days a week, like, or 5 days a week. It's a lot. But I think for you and for me, like remembering we have a full-time job, right? Like this is our addition. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be like what lights us up. And that's why we're doing it, and to help others, And so as long as we follow that and we keep with whatever's like lighting us up, because God's in us. And so if it's lighting us up, it's what we're meant to be doing, and like trusting that and just going forward with that and knowing it's going to work out because we've already been here. We made it through the crazy times. If we can make it through that, we can make it through anything.
Yes. Yeah. I think COVID did a lot of that for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to answer some of those questions that have been just in the back of my mind that don't go away. And I think this is going to help me a lot going forward.
Good. Yeah. And honestly, that's why I created this, is because I know that this is what we're missing is the whole feeling normal. We all have those thoughts racing through our head, but like there's no one there to like help us out and be like, listen, you're not crazy. Like, it's okay. You're just starting a business. Like, this is normal. The bouncing back and forth. What do I want it to be? What am I going to name it? What, it's all part of the process. And so, just knowing that, like, it's not that I am behind or don't have the right things or whatever doubts are plaguing us. Like, that's not the case whatsoever. Like, it really is. This is just part of the process. Like, you have to get through those things to be able to flourish, to be able to grow a business that's going to succeed.
I think once I get in the door of my first client for real this time, I think a lot of things will start to fall into place that still remain a little bit, but I'm feeling much better about it.
Good.
Feeling more confident. So.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to just make a decision and live with it. And, life goes on.
Yeah. And know that like God's got your back. And if the God of the universe that created this entire universe and all of us and everything in it is inside of us, how can we go wrong?
Amen. So true.
Yeah. You've got this. I promise it's going to work out and it's going to be just fine. And you're going to figure it out like when, as you're supposed to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for listening to the Pro Organizers Coach. And I will catch you on the next one. You have been listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to the show notes to find all of the links mentioned in this episode and hit that subscribe and automatic download button so you don't miss a single thing. Thanks for listening.